So, meaning for a Facebook Live. So maybe that's what the case is. Maybe that's what the challenge is for some people getting on board. So listen,
Right.
I want you to introduce yourself and just tell me like a little bit about yourself, how you got into massage, and what your current like interests are.
Okay, so I actually got a massage by accident. It was not planned. I definitely was not planning on massage. I was working in Hawaii, ended up moving to Denver, and the school that I went to. Funny enough, if you went to Steiner as well, so you fill out one form and they all but come and pick you up at your house.
Yeah.
So that's how I got in. They tell you the first 2 weeks, if you don't like it, you don't have to pay. My plan was to go for 2 weeks and learn before I went to university, and I ended up falling in love with it.
Yeah.
So, I've been a therapist about almost 11 years. This year will be 11 years, and I worked for Massage Envy, worked for a chiropractor, got fired, not once, but twice. um, and just decided that it was my time. Like I really had to do my own thing once I got fired.
Yeah.
And so funny enough, my specialty education wise is prenatal. I'm a certified doula. And then throughout the years, like just targeting a target niche, deciding what a target niche. Um, I ended up going with athletes, and it's been great. I used Twitter at first. Now I'm actually using a little bit of Instagram. It could be better, but Instagram has been
Instagram is,
great.
yeah, because when I talked to you, I mentioned before you came on, you were one of the first massage therapists to talk to me about Twitter and
Right,
hashtags. And then I used it a little bit, not extremely successfully, and then Instagram came along, and Instagram is a little bit more audio visual, in a quick, like easily accessible way. So I'm kind of like back and forth on platforms. I think they've also probably changed in the last few years.
I feel like right now Snapchat and Instagram is where it's at. I haven't mastered Snapchat, but I haven't
Yeah.
actually, I don't know if I've ever used Snapchat for business
Snapchat.
purposes.
Dude. Okay, so years ago, and I don't know how long I've used Snapchat now, because when I first got on Snapchat, Snapchat was blew my mind. I was like, oh my, I mean, you could see the future evolving with Snapchat.
Right.
It was like the first time I saw filters, and it was like, whoa, I had no idea that this was available. And I think for you and I, we're big proponents of social media in the massage industry. Many massage therapists
Right.
feel uncomfortable using it. And if I remember correctly, did I know you when I had that conversation with you in the office? We had not met previously, right?
No, it was all
Yeah.
through Instagram actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
because at that time I think you were just getting started, and I was just trying to find anybody and everybody that had anything to do with massage on
Yeah.
Instagram to follow
Yeah.
to identify the trends that they were doing.
Yeah. And we just,
So,
kicked it off. If that was what I remember, because I don't think we had spoken previously. We actually had that conversation in the office and then followed each other and continued communication over the years.
yeah, I think so.
So, from a social media perspective, because people are interested in massage and social media, that's kind of what we wanted to talk about.
Right.
How much of your business, like how many of your clients, what percentage do you get from social media? Free social media, not even paid ads.
Okay, so about 8 years ago, I would say 95% of my clients came from Twitter.
Wow.
So, one of my one of my suggestions is not to pay attention to what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing the same thing everybody else is doing, you're not going to get noticed. Whereas whenever I started with Twitter, nobody realized, this is what I think what blew your mind whenever we were talking about it, nobody realized that that's a direct line to
Yeah.
whoever you want to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever you want to talk to. So targeting athletes and also OBGYNs whenever I was doing the prenatal. I would just message them like, hey, Kobe, if you need a massage while you're in Houston, my phone number. People were like, Megan, you're crazy for putting your phone number on the internet. And I said, I'll stop as soon as it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
And I still do it. 11 years later. It's crazy. And
There's a whole lot of like social nuance.
right.
It's like, because it gets
Totally.
complex. Like, even if you're just talking about Twitter, like, I try to educate my students on this, like, in my subscription service. So I'll screen share my Twitter account to try to show them some of the complexities about interacting with somebody publicly where everybody can see, writing
Right.
somebody a direct message, adding someone publicly, like, asking somebody a question. There's so much nuance to me that it's like a party. It's like if I
Totally.
if I was at a party and you were at a party, I don't just, like, if you're talking to somebody, come in and just intrude and go, "Hey Megan, what you doing?"
Right, right,
And
right.
there's sort of social norms about what's considered appropriate and inappropriate. And increasingly what I see is millennials are having more and more of a say in business, and those norms are changing from the old guard to the younger therapists. And even though, like, at our age, I consider us like senior therapists, I feel like we're in
Yeah,
between the old guard and the younger therapists.
I agree. I agree. Well, you said like um, there's like social cues that you should follow with social media. I'll tell you, whenever I first got started, I paid zero attention to any of that and just went for it. And it worked for me. You just have to figure out what works for you, and identifying trends. That's the biggest thing. So whenever I started, like I said, nobody realized that that was a direct line. Right now with the hashtags, there's people that don't even realize that the hashtag are search keywords.
Yeah.
People don't realize that's like little. That's little.
Oh,
And
listen,
whenever
I told broke therapists, listen, there was a war broke out in the massage entrepreneurs group on Facebook, because I said, listen, if you're a broke therapist and you got no budget, and I used Twitter as the example because Twitter was where the hashtag started. I said,
right,
listen, hashtag your zip code, hashtag your city, hashtag CrossFit, hashtag injury, and see if anything comes up. And people told
right,
me flat out, I got called a misogynist, a mansplaining ass hat, and a bunch of other stuff, because, like, that's stalker behavior.
wow,
And I was like, but wait, like, people leave hashtags so people can find them.
right, totally.
Yeah.
And then the engagement, like, so that goes back to you finding your target market. Once you are specific, so many people they go and they say, "I'll massage anybody." If you say you're going to massage anybody, the return on your investment in marketing is 10%, if I'm not correct, right?
Yeah.
10% on your marketing. So, um, it's not effective. Here in Houston, we have 4 million people. 4 million people. So if you're reaching, there's no way you can reach 4 million people. So the more specific you get, whether it's male or female or what have you, that's going to determine your engagement, how
Yep.
you engage. So, like for instance, and you want to make sure that your social media represents that. I think that's also one of the biggest hiccups with massage therapists. They want to be a massage therapist, but then they also want to be whoever they are outside. They want to have two different faces, and you can't do that when in a private practice. You are your business.
Yeah,
What does that
the
look?
line. Well, no, no. Okay, so the thing is, it's kind of like I get a lot of questions still because I'm a huge proponent of social media. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
that I understand all of it. I'm swimming in an ocean and I've got a little canoe now. I didn't even have that earlier. And I'm paddling around and, like, oh, I'm starting to get a little traction. It's starting to pick up. I don't have a speedboat yet. But at the same time, what I get are therapists where they're asking, okay, I kind of use Instagram for personal stuff. Do I have a personal account and a business account? And for
That's too
me, I
hard.
was just all in on my business. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
time to worry about, like, multiple accounts for different things. It was like, I am my business.
Right,
And my choice
exactly.
was to say, okay, like on Instagram is very, very audio visual. And I can sit and talk about what I do, which is nice. People do want to see what I'm talking about. But they also want to see that I've screenshotted this photo right here of you and I, and they go, oh, who's that? Oh, that's Megan. And there's a link, that somebody can find to go to the YouTube channel. So you're sharing across platforms, you're diversifying your content by interviewing people and talking with them. And then I like food, I'm a cook. So I would take pictures of tacos. And at first people are like, wait, I don't understand. Like, you have an Instagram for business. Why are you taking pictures of food? And I'm like, because people like it. Because it gives my
People,
Instagram personality that it wouldn't have if it's
exactly.
just stock photos.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing is you have to show your personality. You can't people can't connect with stock photos. They connect with the things that you're doing on a regular basis. Um, I'll tell you, coming from a female perspective, and I think I was texting you about it earlier, like you're so concerned about aesthetically what you look like. It's a little bit hard. Today's the first day that I've done live.
Yeah,
So, that's a big deal switching from all stage photos to showing that personality. And if you don't want to do it with video, the video component of it, you have to be good with your words
yeah.
whenever you're typing. But the fact of the matter is, people don't want to read that anymore. Whenever now we have Snapchat and somebody can just watch, they're not going to pay attention to this blog that you just attached to a picture.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're different, so let's say you have a blog on your website and you have a YouTube video embedded that you made. That's great content. But it's very, very different content than Snapchat. And the thing is, unless therapists are using those platforms regularly, it's almost going off into minutia to try to explain all the intricate details. You have to get your feet dirty. You have to use them. You have to use them consistently and look at people emulate. So don't even follow massage therapists. Listen, massage therapists on the whole
Exactly.
are not using social media very well.
Well,
Find people, say it again.
go ahead. Like with massage therapists in general, you find that they're either really good with business or they're really good with massage. To find somebody that's balanced is hard.
Yeah.
So I always recommend find somebody that's doing how you want to be perceived in a different market. You have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I tell them to do for business is to follow people in other industries, not massage. Maybe it's a physical
Right.
therapist, something similar. Maybe it's a yoga teacher. Look at how
You
they're
know,
using the platform and then emulate pieces of that to build your message.
when I first started, the person that helped me, like my business mentor, what he did was supplied the people at Sam's and Costco. He supplied them to do testing, like for products. So that's what whenever I started targeting athletes and they were looking for massage therapists nationwide, that's what I did. I found therapists all over for them
Yeah.
and hooked them up, and then you make money from that. So that's what I
So
recommend.
Patrick Chris was asking about who I follow. Some of the first ones that come to mind, I follow Gary V incessantly, like across platforms. Gary's just a good spokesman generally for social media, but it's not just his message, it's how he's using social media to convey ideas, storytell. That's one. Two, I really like Keno McGregor. Keno McGregor has at least 1 million followers on Instagram. I like to watch how she uses social media. Like, she's an amazing Ashtangi yogi, has a great like physical practice, but she's also her Instagram feels warm. It makes me feel like I could actually reach out to her. I don't know if she would answer because she hasn't that many followers, but there's something about the way she uses the media where it feels like it's just like Megan and I having a conversation. When I watch her Instagram stories, it's like she's asking me, hey, do you want me to cover some shoulder stuff tomorrow? What do you guys think? What do you want to talk about? She's like engaging people in a way that I feel most massage therapists don't understand. We're on Facebook Live. This is my phone, okay? I've pressed a button. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It gives me the technological power that, we probably didn't even have 10 years ago.
To the masses.
And the thing is, it's like this channel starts to become like HBO. This starts to become like pay-per-view. It starts to become bigger and stronger every day. And Facebook is fighting with Google and YouTube for attention. So Facebook keeps pushing because they're trying to keep video content on their platform. By doing Facebook Lives, Facebook is rewarding me and giving us more exposure.
Totally. So, something that I've done, I've been very lucky to be able to follow people that um, they have huge, or know people, work with clients that have huge followings in social media.
Yeah.
So, what I like doing is comparing how I know them, the person that I know that they are um, not on social media, and then who they are on social media. And my favorite ones to follow, like I have a client, his wife has a food blog, and it's First and Full. Follow First and Full on Instagram. Um, so Marissa, it's amazing to watch that, just like you're describing, everything that she does on her social media is exactly how she is. So if you were to meet her, you're not surprised. You know,
Yep.
there's those people that say that they don't want to meet their heroes because they get let down. And in that setting, you're not. You know, you are who you are. We had that conversation at lunch last time, I think. Like,
Yep.
you know, I'm unapologetically being me.
Yep.
And so many people get concerned about um, people not liking them, people not connecting with them. And the fact of the matter is that the people that are supposed to be there are going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
And those
I
are the,
make videos with Psyche Truth. Psyche Truth was my first glimpse of like larger scale, like video production. And two things happened. Those videos would float, and I had to soften the crew up to what I do, which was more like table tie. Because they wanted massage videos. It took a little time. Two things happened. One, 75% of the comments that got left were people like, whoa, I have never seen anything like what he is doing. This is amazing. Great feedback. 5% said he's fat. We don't like him. Can you bring like a female model? I don't want to look at this fat guy. And it's like,
and that
how do
stuff,
I
it doesn't matter.
say it again?
Those people don't matter.
Exactly.
Not
But
at
the
all.
thing is, it's like you can't do anything and really start to get noticed without getting haters. And it doesn't have anything to do with me, and it doesn't have to do with I gain weight, lose weight, you know, whatever. It's like, listen, people in England are writing me and going, when are you coming to London so I can get a session? I win.
Right.
Just sheer statistics of like numbers. It's like I have to tell students in class, I'm like, if I talk to a guy, I'm like, listen, how many women are you going to have to date statistically until you find the person that you really click with and you want to get married?
Do you
Because
know
you
the
got to
number
go
for
through
that?
that process. You got to go through that process.
You don't have an exact number on that?
No.
Uh,
It's just,
and so that,
yeah.
but that goes with using social media. So you either have to have the numbers behind you, or you have to be very specific in what you're doing.
Okay.
And so that's where I've been very effective, is that I know my target market. And if you know your target market better than anybody else, what's his name? The owner of the Mavericks. What's his name?
Mm.
He's also on Shark Tank.
I don't know sports, so yeah.
Uh, what's his name? Somebody. Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
He says
Mark
like,
Cuban. Okay.
you may be smarter than me. You know, you might have all these other qualities, but I'm going to outwork you every single time. So with marketing, the more specific you are with your target market and you learn that, all of that hard work is going to directly what you want to do. That's the hardest thing, is being effective in that marketing, you know? And whenever I start reaching out to athletes, and if I have something on my social media, if my social media does not reflect that I like athletes, they're not going to call me,
Yeah.
or that I know a little bit about the sport, even though I'm not a fan, but I know enough to talk about it, you know? So my social media has to portray that, or at least that I support the people that are coming to me anyway.
Yeah.
So,
There's so many variables, and I think it does have nuance. It's a communication tool. It's the phone. You know, it's a small computer. How you use it, how you present yourself, who you decide to talk to, there are a lot of different factors, and increasingly, I think because the overhead is so low, it doesn't cost anything. There's room to make mistakes. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to continually go out and talk to people and figure out what's going to work for you. When I'm gardening, I'll make little Snapchats or post little photos of my garden. It's like it adds diversity to my overall social media content. It's not directly massage related, but it is wellness related,
Right.
which
And
is,
people like to see progress.
yeah,
So, like, whenever you first start, you were talking about your videos before when we were
yeah,
talking, and then that progress, and now you have a videographer that follows you. So that's huge to see progress, and
yeah,
that's the same thing with like your Instagram. If you start off and like your posts are not that intriguing, no big deal, no big deal. But you start showing that progress, and people love it.
yeah.
People love it, and people want to support you. I think I've heard that a lot from massage therapists that they're like, people don't want to see me succeed.
Why?
And I'm like, I hear that often
Why
teaching.
did, no, 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 but I'd like to hone in on that. Why do they think that people don't want to see them succeed?
I think that it's just how they've been conditioned over and over, and then they're scared to fail. There's a book called, it's based off of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. This is Connect and Grow Rich,
Yeah,
and he uses a term called fail forward. So who cares if you fail as long as you're moving forward with every fail, you're still being productive. What's so crazy, the author of that book, um, he's also a client. I probably would have never picked up the book had I not known his story. And a year before he became my client, he was homeless. And then he lived in a gated community with like 5 cars. Um, it was amazing to see that, and the fail forward, just learning and going forward every single time you're going to be progressing it in
yeah.
whatever it is that you're doing.
See, I think wanting to see people fail. Here's the thing: there are a lot of couch critics. There are people who are sitting
Totally.
around consuming media, who are criticizing everybody else. But here's the thing: I'm not just consuming media. I spend 75% of my time producing media, creating content. We
Totally.
just right now we are creating a show.
Right.
We are entertaining and educating people by doing this because I'm not spending my time just watching videos on YouTube. I'm actually creating content. There's always going to be a million people who want to criticize you. So what? So what?
Right.
Like I had to get to the point, and I love my mother, you know, but my mother and I had a conversation the other day, and she's like, "Oh, baby, you moved out to Texas," and I've lived in Texas for like 11 or 12 years now, and it's like, "Mom, are you still?" It's like people are going to have opinions about what you do, but in the end, it's like, well, what do you want to do?
Exactly.
And the thing is, okay, now that we charted, I want to be over here, and you're over here. So how do we get over here? I think for most massage therapists in 2018, social media has to be a piece, at least a component to getting here.
I agree. I totally agree. And I'll tell you that what I tell students in the business classes that I teach is that um, the no's don't matter. You are exactly where you were before if you get told no.
Yeah,
And most of us, that's not a bad spot. And even if it is a bad spot, you've been dealing with it and adapting to it, and you know how to handle it. So it's that yes. You have to make sure that you like master every single yes that you get, and just make that yes your bitch, and then progress with
yeah,
that. I think that that was the biggest thing with me. My first client that I got off of Twitter, it was Christmas Eve. It was pouring raining outside. We do our family Christmas stuff on Christmas Eve, and he showed up 3 hours late.
wow.
I wanted it so bad. I knew that this guy played for whatever team he played for, and I wanted him as a client. So I waited. My poor sister sat in a car while it was raining for 6 hours Because then whenever he finally made it up, um, I was so nervous. Here comes this guy, 6'7". I've never worked on anybody that big. I was only a year in the industry. And I wanted to make sure that I got every single thing that he wanted. So I worked on him for 3 hours.
Yeah.
His friend walked in and was like, "Are y'all done?" So I made that yes my bitch. And then what's so crazy is that guy, throughout the years, he sent me so many clients,
Yeah.
so many clients, just from that one experience.
Hmm.
And then also with the same client, I've had horrible experiences, like horrible experience, like embarrassing situations happen with that same client. But because I've done such a good job, the other times he's good with it. You
Yeah.
know, like he's like, "It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry that you no call no showed and completely forgot about my appointment because every other time you've done great."
There's so many layers due to the fact that the communication is quick, audiovisual, and I mean nearly instantaneous. You know, the therapist that has a strong local following on their Facebook page and they just post, hey, I've got openings at noon and at 2 p.m. today. You know, I'll give you 10% if you grab these two spots because I want to fill my books today. And they fill it. That sort of communication just wasn't available previously. You know, like the way people use technology is changing. So for instance, if I call you, Megan, what's your first thought when you see that I'm calling you or you hear your ringer?
What do they want?
Even if it's
Why didn't
me.
you text?
Exactly.
Why
See,
didn't you text?
exactly. And the thing is, it's not because you don't want to talk to me. It's because you're like, why is he wasting my time, right? And the thing is, a text is cheaper, faster, you know, whatever. You can read it in the car or whatever is going on. And that's the way that the social media is changing things because people are interacting with the technology in slightly different ways. When I see educators in our industry talking about mailers, I am blown away. I cannot
I don't even
imagine.
I don't even think business cards are a thing anymore. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think you should have business cards on you. I've had experiences where I wish I would have had a business card on me. But with social media, follow me on social media. I just worked a huge festival, and it not every single person asked me. They didn't ask me for a business card. They asked me for my social media. What's your Instagram? And then after that, you follow up with them and inbox them immediately.
Yep.
Like, "Oh my gosh, it was so nice to meet you. I can't wait to get you on my table again."
So was it in text or was it a short video?
What? No, no, no. So I just text. Oh, I just text them.
Text.
Yeah, on. Or and I would like a lot of their pictures. That might sound a little bit creepy, but I would go like a bunch of their pictures because you think about that every single time that you get on your Instagram and you look at the likes, it shows 20 likes, and then you scroll through, and if you see the same person, you're going to go look at their stuff.
Yep.
And so I've been privy to working with so many of my clients that have that following, and while I'm massaging them, I look down and they're checking their social media. They see it too. So I just will like all their pictures and then inbox them and then hope that they respond.
Sure.
And at that event, I've got 4 clients from that event that have already booked. So that's awesome.
The
That's
the
effective.
professional face, the professional face. Now, if you didn't have Instagram, if let's say in 2018 you did that event, would those people have become clients?
No,
Why?
no. If I didn't have an Instagram, because there was an engagement and I wasn't able to follow up with them as easy because
Yeah.
I got their information and they got my information.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
It's
one-way
like it's a
street.
very different feel from like I'm going to add you to my email list. And you're like,
Right.
ew,
Yeah, totally.
email, ew.
Totally.
More, I get too much crap in my inbox. But there's
Right.
something about
Yep.
Instagram. And the thing is, to me, this is me personally, I feel like Snapchat is more personal.
I could see that. I haven't used Snapchat at all. So,
Snapchat to me, it's developed, it's changed. It's not like it used to be. If you get me to follow you on Snapchat, Snapchat, when I first started using it, Snapchat was like you could do a video shoot and put it on YouTube, but Snapchat was behind the scenes. Snapchat was the backstage pass.
oh yeah, that's true.
It had a different feel. And the thing is, they're different platforms. I can't really say use one or the other. They just have different parameters for how they're used.
That goes back to your target market though. So like what are they using? If they're using if they're still using Facebook on a regular basis, then that's going to be what you use. Especially like targeting neighborhoods, you're going to use Facebook. The Facebook groups are so like amazing in that component. With most of my clients, like they're on Instagram, they're and Twitter's making a comeback. Thanks Donald Trump.
Twitter is an interesting I've not given up on Twitter. Like when they changed the character count, because it used to be 140, and then now they switched it to 280. You knew about that, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the thing is, it's changed in ways, but the thing is, I feel like attention on Twitter is lower priced. Like Instagram's kind of flashy and trendy now, but like
Right.
Twitter, like man, like political stuff, wow. Twitter is a treasure trove of information and the capacity to reach out to people. I watched a video the other night, watched a movie on Netflix called The Empire of Scent. And The Empire of Scent was an entire documentary about the sense of smell. And there was a French sommelier named Francois Chartier, I think is his name. And I was so taken with this French sommelier that I went on went on Twitter, looked him up, found him, followed him, and said, "Hey, really loved you in Empire of Scent. You know, hashtag Bravo Encore." And sure enough, next morning I get a message from him, and he's like, "Hey, thanks for following me, whatever." And it's like now we're buds. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
can talk to some French guy, and it's like if I ever wind up going to France and go, "Hey, Mr. Sommelier, sir, what should I go? You know, what restaurant should I see? If I had two in Paris, what do I need to see?" That sort of connection is something that can build businesses if you begin to engage in it that way.
That's the biggest thing is being consistent with your engagement, whatever platform you decide to use. And I think one of the hardest things is if you're not being very direct in your target market, you have to, like you said, like cross promote. You have to you have to get followers or engage with the people that you are following that you may want as clients.
Yeah.
So I could see where that could be kind of tricky, if, like in finding the right people to follow. In a neighborhood, I would go after other business owners, other
Yeah.
people that are connecting on a daily basis with your target market.
Yep. I mean,
And however,
it's not even really a right or wrong. It's just what gets results. And that's where it's like
exactly.
I can give you a basic idea of how to use the technology. I can't tell you what content to produce, and I can't tell you who to try to speak to.
Right. People don't understand the algorithms as well. I'll tell you, whenever I started, actually probably up until last year, I didn't even know there was such a thing. I didn't know that. So I would just pay attention to trends that, and I'm really big on paying attention to patterns. I watched a lot of Sesame Street. Which one of these don't belong here? Which one of these are not like the other? And so, um, as I went along with the social media, that's what I was doing, paying attention to patterns. Those people that you're watching, what do 5 people that you're watching have in common? What are they doing on a regular basis with their social media to actively engage? So then you either want to do the same thing or figure out how to do that better or different using the same um, basis. So that's where I went with Twitter. I seen other people and actually it was the people that were trolling on Twitter. And I'm like, how are they getting these people to respond?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, they're just talking to them. That's it. They're just talking to them. They're just tagging them and telling them whatever they want to say. My friend, I have a friend that's a massage therapist, and when I first started, she was like, I was like, I have 2 followers, but I've gotten 4 clients. So that doesn't even really matter on Twitter as long as you're um, paying attention to your target market and how
Yeah.
you're engaging.
One of the things from a time position. So let's say you're a starting therapist, you have a handful of clients, but you've got a client at 9 a.m., you have a client at 2 p.m. You got a big gap. A lot of therapists, it's like, and I don't want therapists to not take time off and go play disc golf or do whatever you want to do and take time off. But man, you have several hours to sit down and figure out Instagram and figure out
Mm-hmm.
hashtags and figure out like posts and, gifting a little bit of body work to shoot footage to be able to put on YouTube or whatever platforms. There's a lot of social media production that can be done in that 30-minute gap between clients.
I'll
Um,
tell you, when I started, I was working at Massage Envy. I might like get a lawsuit talking about this. So I would sit in the break room with my laptop, and anytime I didn't have a client, I was working on my own thing. That's one of the biggest. If I think you probably use the Business Mastery book. I know a lot of my students use the Blue Business Mastery book by Sunny Monroe, and one of the basic teaching she has in there is when you have time off, like let's say you schedule yourself an 8-hour workday and you have a 2-hour gap, continue to work. Back to Mark Cuban earlier, I'll work you every single time. You know, you have to consistently do that. You have to stay working,
yeah,
and then you have to prepare for your slow times. That's the biggest thing is preparing for the slow times because once you stop engagement, that's whenever you get slow and then you're not prepared for it. So that's, definitely rough spots.
different age ranges, populations are going to use social media in slightly different ways. Like I said, I can't really tell therapists exactly what to do other than, what are people interested in? I've played with YouTube over the years where I made cooking videos. Like, why not? People are interested in cooking. And I made a very horrible video, by the way, as far as its production value, where I brined chickens. And every year, when Christmas and Thanksgiving rolls around, it jumps by like 10,000 views because people are searching on how to brine their chicken or their turkey for Thanksgiving.
That's
And the
hilarious.
thing is, it's like it was a fluke. It wasn't just to promote massage business, but you start to see trends after a while. And you go, okay, so what knowledge do I have that I can educate my target market? Pain, trigger points. Okay, you have hand pain. All right, listen, we're going to show you how to work on your forearm flexors because people who have problems with their forearm flexors sometimes get problems in their hand and wrist. So it's forearm flexor. I name the muscle, myofascial trigger points, da 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 da. 5-minute video just to show them a technique to work on themselves. But every time I made one of those videos, I'd link it up with a blog post. Then I'd take that blog post and then share it through my social media like Facebook. And the thing is, that website and blog and YouTube video becomes like an archive where I can grab that later and share it with other new clients, new followers. If I go into Twitter right now and go hand pain, United States, like I'm searching hashtags, trying to find people, carpal tunnel. And if I find people saying, man, my hands hurt from typing, I can write that person and say, listen, you can check out this blog post I have where I show you in video form how to work on it. It might be your forearm flexors from typing.
Right. I think where one of the biggest things with kind of where you're going is identify, as a therapist, identify what people value about you as a therapist and play off of that. Because if you start trying to pretend that you know something that you don't, or you are somebody that you're not, when back to whenever you meet them, it's a false sense of reality. So if you identify what it is that people value and play that up, then it's more genuine. It's more
Yeah.
genuine, and people respect it, and they're going to want to engage with you.
It's the dating thing again. Like you ask, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like you have to prepare yourself for failure. Like, you gotta pick yourself up by your bootstraps, get your heart broken
It's
until you find somebody who really works with you. And I think the same thing happens with clients. Who are the clients who really like working with you and that you like
exactly,
working with? Because those are the
exactly.
people you nurture and continue to
Right.
grow. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the hold on, I lost that thought. Lost it completely. I started and just lost it. Um, where were we going? You
Talking
were
about
talking
target
about
market, finding the people
target
who
market.
like you, that you want to work with.
Failures. So like having a yes man. Everybody, whatever you do, people are going to like it. Somebody's going to like it. But you need the person that you trust their opinion, and then you can seek those people. Seek somebody that's a massage therapist and seek somebody that's not a massage therapist.
Yeah.
That's like new eyes. And then have somebody that's going to tell you no, that sucks. And you value that they tell you that sucks, and then you got to change it. You can't be so self-absorbed in whatever it is that you're doing with social media, with your private practice, with whatever it is that you're doing. You can't be so self-absorbed and attached to your what you think is correct that you're not going to change it whenever it's needed. If it's not working, you got to change it immediately.
Yeah. And when you say it's not working, do you have clients? If
Exactly.
you make social media content, are people responding to it? Are people sharing it? Are people interacting with you? Are people asking questions? That is becomes to me like a measure of success. And it doesn't mean, delete the old videos because they didn't work.
No.
It means you're just documenting the process and you keep going. What do people respond to? What do they want to see? I try to figure out, I joke about it as being people's lizard brain. What draws their eye? What's flashy?
Right.
What looks, enough to like, what looks interesting enough to have them go, hey, what's that? Because if they're on YouTube, they've got a section of thumbnails, there's 10 deep. What are they going to click on next? And it's like, well, what
Right.
draws their eye? What looks
Exactly.
interesting? What looks entertaining? What looks funny? What looks sexy? Whatever it is. Yeah, what are they looking for? There's so much about, like I said, the blog post, and you help somebody. If I'm in Texas and somebody's in Washington, D.C., most therapists, they'll tell me, they're like, but I don't understand, that person cannot become a client. It's like, you think that person never goes on vacation? You think that person never has friends who come to Austin? I've had people, I talked to a lady, she came in and I was like, where are you from? And she's like, Chicago. I'm like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, my daughter found you on YouTube. My daughter watches your YouTube videos regularly. And we were coming down on vacation and my daughter was adamant that I had to get a session with you. And I'm like, when?
That's neat. That's neat.
Yeah.
See, I'm I'm good at the initial engagement, but I haven't had because I've been so specific with my target market. I haven't engaged in that way at all.
What do you mean? Do
Um,
a YouTube?
but well, with YouTube or even like with on a larger scale with clients, like offering help, I haven't done that yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
like to. And I think that's huge. Another thing, I don't know if he's still watching or not, but there's Lamont Ryans. I don't know if I can tell. So one of the great things about him, Boone, is that I've been able to watch him over. He's been a therapist about 2 years, and he does all sorts of other things other than massage. Just like you were talking about the cooking, he does fire throwing, and I went to go see one of his shows, and then the announcer like was announcing his social media handle, and people are following him right there on the spot as he's doing this show. That's huge. And then he does like teaches hip hop dance, and I haven't done anything. All I know is bartending and waiting
Hey,
tables and
look,
massage.
if you listen bartending, my first thought is like make quick, I'm not lying, like make quick YouTube videos and become the massage therapist who drinks. And you're the massage therapist bartender and you show them how to make an Old Faithful or whatever the drinks are. I don't know
I
that.
don't know if you're ready for that.
No, no, I'm just saying, I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying, you have to be creative. What gets people,
Totally.
thinking about, massage, something that stands out. It's not all your social media content, by the way. There's a lot of room for diversity, but it's like, I'm interested in cooking. I'm interested in gardening. I do a little bit of acro yoga. I try to throw some of that into the mix with my social media to give it more personality. I would joke about the fact because I would drink beer on camera. A lot of times in the evening, I'd have like a beer, and when I would do these Facebook lives, I started to think, I don't know if it's good for me to drink on camera. And then it became like a joke. Like I'm sitting there drinking Fat Tire, talking to New Belgium Brewing, trying to get New Belgium Brewing Company to sponsor me. But you
That's
become known for those little bits of nuance. You talked about bartending. But the thing is, what is it about bartending and doing waitress work that allows you to connect with people quickly? And then, like, what tips can you give massage therapists to use that you've learned from those industries?
that's exactly it. That's exactly.
See, Kellen, that's right. It's an old fashioned, not an old faithful. And I don't know anything
I
about
got
that.
you
I
on
just, I don't know mixed drinks.
when all fails, you just mix it all together and call it good.
But the nuance, the stuff that people are interested in, I just think it's inordinately fascinating when people have unique, novel interests in things that I don't particularly know a lot about.
Yeah.
Geekery, I call it. Just crazy hobbies or interests that in addition to being a massage therapist, they have these other things. I like that in social media. It gives people a sense of personality. Patrick Chris is in London, and he'll post every once in a while. It'll be like a metal band or like an 80s kind of mock metal band. And then he'll post a photo of himself, and it looks like he's in white leather boots and jeans with like a jacket. And I just think it's absolutely hysterical because he's not in that moment promoting his massage practice. He's being a goofball, but it gives him so much personality. It makes me more interested in him and his story.
So, do you feel that there's a where's the line with that?
What's the line? What's
Like, is there a
professional
line?
and what's not? Is that what you mean?
I wouldn't say conventional. I think that
No,
it goes back to your.
professional. Professional.
There we go. We can go professional. Yeah, what's
See,
professional,
and I,
what's
I
not.
think I think the thing is, okay, when I was a kid growing up, there was road rules. And I remember hearing as a kid the first time reality TV. It seems like a cliche now because we're just documenting our lives because we have the processing capacity through, smartphones. I think conventional structures are breaking down. I think Fox News is not as important as an information source as it used to be because you and I are entertaining people. And I think it's going to continue to break down. In the end, I think it just matters on your target market, the clients that you want to connect with, and then at what point would they stop working with you? Because
There you go.
you
Yeah.
do something that's
That's exactly where I was going
unprofessional.
with that.
Something that's unprofessional.
It goes to it goes to each person. I know that like because of my target market, you're not going to catch me like in club clothes on social media
Why?
because there's why? Because there's too much of a fine line between you're probably going to eat me up whenever I finish my sentence. Um,
No, but the thing is,
there's
how you use it is your choice.
there's too much of a fine line between sex and massage,
Okay, exactly.
especially
Yeah.
especially with my target market
Hmm.
where, it's a lot of males that have never been told no.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm going to see them, I'm usually wearing like some full coverage t-shirt and I will get dressed, but my hair is generally back once I'm massaging. So if they see me in something that's more provocative, then it's
Ah.
easier to align me
Yeah.
with being more provocative.
And that's
So
where in our industry we get into gender issues.
Yeah,
And see,
totally.
I have a different set of issues because as a male therapist, people are a little bit less likely to see me initially. But the way that I compensate for that is I was very heavy in like social media and video production. So people who maybe were interested in seeing me would watch 10 videos and go, oh, this guy's a consummate professional. It's completely obvious that he absolutely is in love with what he does and he's a professional and a pro. And I wasn't afraid to be called fat. I wasn't afraid to be on camera. And I was never going to be the sex symbol of Psyche Truth. Like I wasn't going to have those same issues, in other words. And that, from your
Right.
standpoint, makes complete sense. I do get into some issues occasionally with female therapists in the industry trying to figure out, as those social norms are changing and as social media evolves, how far do they push? We've got, was it Dr. Dot, the lady who bites on people?
Yes.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
drives all the therapists crazy. And I'm like, listen, is it memorable? Yes. Do people
Right.
take notice? Yes. And she's got a billion haters. But the thing is, she's got the 10,000 people who are really into whatever it is she does, and she wins.
Right. That's very true.
Yeah.
It goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where, um, the people that are going to follow you will follow you no
Yeah.
matter what. Yeah.
Even if you're in club clothes.
Yeah, but I don't want that.
Oh, I know.
That
But
and
the
that
thing
goes
is,
back to
when you said club clothes, I didn't take anything risque out of that at all.
what kind of clubs do you go to?
I don't go out. You think me? You think me? You think I'm wandering around in Austin, going out to clubs and like know what the social scene is? The only way I know what the social scene is in Austin is through Instagram. Like otherwise, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm a homebody.
Me too now, but 10 years ago, when I especially first getting started, I think that was one of the biggest concerns is and I think this plays a big part in like towns that you're building a practice is how you are perceived on social media and then how you're perceived in person and not only in the massage component because in massage you can be totally professional but then if you're going out and engaging with people in a way that doesn't represent your business, like you said earlier, I am my business. If you're not engaging with people like that, then you can set yourself up for failure. And then if you're in a group of people, if you're in a small group, all it takes is one bad experience to ruin almost an entire group.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think part of it is you start small, you test the waters, and you figure out what your edges are. And it sounds to me like you found that your edge was no club clothes.
Right.
So is there a tendency within your social media, because you're putting out audio-visual content, you tend to dampen sexuality? Anything that you think like creepy guys, what's wrong with you? For one, you're pissing me off. But two, it's like you have to like dampen that because you don't want their attention, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, whatever it is, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier in like values, like what you value, what other people value about you. If there's something, if you're being intentional with your social media
Yeah.
and coming up with a plan, that's also I think a big thing that people miss out on. Is I don't do it so much anymore, but I used to sacrifice the first day of every month was my social media day to where I came up with a plan and then I just did all of my tweets for the month. So I used Hootsuite. I don't know if anybody uses Hootsuite, but it was huge for me at the time because I could preset everything that I did ahead of time. I think actually Facebook does that on its own now, right?
You can, I know through my business page, you can schedule stuff. I haven't used it as much
Yeah.
because I really like have a free floating way of dealing with social media. It takes up a lot of
Right.
time, but I've just integrated it as a part of my workflow where I just don't even think about it anymore.
So I used to do everything on the first day of the month to where it would everything that I was doing for the month up until the second week of the next month actually, and then I would update with my personal stuff.
Yeah.
With Hootsuite, it allows you to have a bank of stuff as well. So I used to use like Oprah quotes, Gandhi quotes,
Yeah.
whatever quotes I could find, and it updated every 2 hours. I got so many calls from clients that they're like, "Oh, I seen that Oprah quote again," and thought I need a massage. And that goes back to consistency and how you use it. Um, I started having people complain, like clients complain that they were annoyed by my tweets. So at that point, I turned it off. But it works. It worked for me. I definitely recommend if social media is not easy for you, like you said, it's not part of your free flowing
Yeah.
day, then definitely um, have a day that you set aside for that. And if you don't have the time, you don't even have the time for that, or you don't have the patience or what have you, then there's places that'll do it for you. Fiverr. Have you used Fiverr
No, I haven't
for
used it.
any?
I know of it though.
Yeah. Fiverr, they'll do those things for you. Bless you.
Thank you. I think also you start in the shallow waters. You don't have to jump into the deep end. Also, instead of like we talked about multiple platforms, start with Facebook.
So
Once you're a little comfortable with Facebook, then maybe Instagram. But take one platform at a time. Don't feel like you have to conquer all of them all at once.
one of them that you can integrate into your daily lifestyle. That's the biggest thing. You don't want if it becomes a chore, you don't want to do it. So if you can just integrate it into your daily lifestyle, then it's easy. That's when I started with Twitter. That's what it was. It was just so easy for me. I would be sitting in line for groceries or what have you, and I'm just sitting there tweeting or reading tweets or responding to tweets. And it was simple. Whereas Instagram is not that, it wasn't as easy for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I use Instagram a little bit different, where it's not as big of a deal as me reaching out to the other people, but really trying to get people involved and liking my pictures to where then it builds a reputation for yourself
Yeah.
within your community. It's like a resume, right? My
Yeah,
pictures.
digital resume. You know, the difference between a business card and Instagram, being able to see a client, let's say you met out at a public event, you did chair massage, they followed you on Instagram, they're liking your posts, you're sharing information back and forth, you're liking their posts or whatever is going on in their lives. Then you work on the client and then video follow up with the client.
Yeah.
And the day after say, hey, Nancy, it was really great working with you. We didn't have a chance to schedule yesterday because you weren't sure about your schedule. I want you to go ahead within the week and go ahead and schedule that appointment. You know, it was a pleasure working with you, da 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 da. It's quick. It's not a phone call. It's not annoying. It's like, oh, I got a message. And then, oh, cool. Because now you're the therapist that cares about them. I have clients who tell me stuff like, "Wow, I've never seen I've never seen a massage therapist use Instagram that way." It's like, well, it just, it's just the way that the technology is changing.
Totally, totally. I haven't integrated into in my practice as far as like the massage aspect. You know what's so funny is I just started online scheduling this week.
Online scheduling, other than social media, online scheduling is the biggest change in our industry in the last 20 years, I think.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And a lot of those online schedulers will integrate your social media for you. And then they also help with your SEO. So I wasn't aware of all of that.
Well, it
I
continues to
like the hard
change.
way.
It continues to change. It continues to grow. One of the things about social media people get frustrated about is they feel like, well, it keeps changing. Social media just builds on good old-fashioned marketing. Handshakes. Hey, Joe, how you doing? It's nice to meet you. Having a conversation. Social media just builds another layer on top of that. It doesn't get rid of this foundational stuff. You know, older people, when I say older, I'm 40 years old, so I'm thinking 40 years and up. You know, if somebody's 60 years old, they know how to run a business. If they can learn how to use social media, like it's amazing to me. Like I talked to somebody, they own a local Mexican restaurant, and I'm like, dude, every day get the cook and like just take the phone for a minute and on Instagram and like go through a different dish on your menu. Go through a different dish on your menu. Take photos of the dish when it's fully done, hashtag everything, but show them how to make the salsa. Show them how the tortillas are made by hand. Show them the staff in the kitchen. You know, it's like you're building a fan base, notoriety,
Right.
people who want a story with their meal, not just food. They don't want just a massage. They want Magen. They want your story.
Right. Dr. Miami. Have you watched Dr. Miami on
What's
Snapchat?
that?
So Patrick asked, like, who do you follow? The real Dr. Miami on Snapchat does exactly what you're saying. I think he was one of the first plastic surgeons to take his cell phone in the operating room, and he does before pictures, he does after pictures. They do pranks in the office, um, and they just Snapchat everything
Yeah.
with that. Um, I've had an issue. I've had an issue with clients not being open to pictures and whatnot. So
That happened.
I know this other guy that he's like post pictures of every single client that comes into his office,
Mm-hmm.
and I find that amazing. Um, I don't know where those, how that conversation happens, but I'm not comfortable with that yet. Like,
No, and you
can I
don't
just
have to be.
do a video?
You don't have to be. Maybe you have a client who is the gregarious person, the client who tells everybody about you. And that one client, they have a hand problem. And you say, listen, I'll give you $10 off your session if you'll let me shoot a couple quick Instagram videos while I'm working on you. Nice music in the background. The thing is, it doesn't cost them anything. You're getting consent, and that's a key part. You might actually want to include like an AV waiver with your, paperwork, so that they're giving you permission to use that. You don't have to push it that far, but you could. One of the things about what I'm doing, because I teach a form of work that's clothed, is I'm telling students in the Reboot Insiders Club, I'm like, guys, listen, the way that you're going to win, because you have to emulate pieces of my practice if you're going to do what I do. My clients are closed. I can film everything. And that's what I'm increasingly working towards is, if the client doesn't want me to record, oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's no issue. But how many videos do you have to make a day to be able to start to stand out, say, on Instagram? 2?
Right.
Every day,
That's
2
true.
videos.
And
2?
and again, that goes back to consistency. Like, if your number is 2, if your number is 1, if your number's 12, whatever it is. So how much do you pre-plan what it is that you post?
When you say pre-plan, you mean how often do I get together like, oh, we're going to do this shoot?
So more so like, okay, I'm going to post this video this day. Do you not plan that?
Nope. So this video we're shooting right now, we are on Facebook Live. I'm going to share this when we're done into various groups. My Facebook business page has 7,000 people on it. The Massage Entrepreneurs group has 7,000 people on it. Depending on the traction it gets, I may share it in some smaller local groups like Houston Massage Therapists. But I'm going to take this video, download it, upload the MP4 to YouTube, put the appropriate keywords and hashtags, and then float it on YouTube as well. And the thing is, because it won't come out for like a week or two, like I'm building up, a library of content that I'm slowly releasing to give this like YouTube channel some consistency. If I pre-schedule it, I release it at like 2 in the afternoon because I find people are getting off work or, whatever. It's there when they get home in the evening. They can watch the latest video that went out on my YouTube channel. I have a really organic, just free-flowing way of shooting stuff. I don't get overwhelmed by it. What I do tend to do is if I'm only doing interviews, they'll get bored. But if I do an interview and then a bodywork video and then a yoga video and then a food video and I keep juggling around, it gives more diversity to the content.
Right. That's huge.
If it bores me, it's going to bore the people watching.
That's true. That's true with everything. The way that you're putting out content, what have you. I'm such a planner though. I'm such a planner. So I'm the person that's going to look at all the stats and see that people are actively engaged for my stuff at 8 p.m. So I'm going to pre-plan that everything happens about 8:05
Yep.
and do it that way. So, everybody should know that that's also an option, you know, especially for those of us that it doesn't fit in our daily lives. It's just we're not used to it yet, where with Twitter, what was that? What was that look?
Oh, no, no, no. The thing is, like, I was thinking, okay, so Michael Ortiz is in the Massage Entrepreneurs Group. He's one of the mods. And Michael, I talk to semi regularly. Like, I follow him on Snapchat. We have conversations about social media. Michael posted a video that had nothing to do with massage. It had everything to do with the fact that he's got like 3 or 4 kids. I don't know how many kids he's got. And his wife was going out of town. And his wife was going out of town, and he made this quick video, and it's like his cute baby on the floor. And then Michael's like, "Oh yeah, baby," he's like kissing his wife. She's going off to Disneyland, going to have fun. And then in the next frame, he's like, "Why did you leave me here? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know you. I don't know how to take care of you." Like he's going off on this emotional like roller coaster because he has to be a dad for a day, and it was just hysterical. It didn't have anything to do with massage, but it completely, like, it had at least 20 comments because people are
Right.
engaging in a funny video that gave Michael more personality, that made Michael stand out more, and made Michael more like heart centered to me.
Gotcha.
When I was making that face about, people don't have time, they sometimes think it's all massage content. And I don't think that's what people are looking for. I think people are looking for entertainment. People are
Yeah.
looking for education. People are looking for health tips. They're looking for information about what sorts of creams and oils you use, the content of the sheets, the caliber of your education. They're going on and on and on. When you look at social media, think about what you click on and what you scroll past. Because you don't want to be something that people scroll past. You want to have content that's so good, people go, "Oh, wait, not only do I not skip it, I like it, I share it, and I start to follow you on other platforms because I want more." The reason I run all of my platforms organically between Facebook, um, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, these are different feeds. Some of the stuff gets cross-posted, some of it does not. On Twitter, late at night, I'm like, "Yes, I'm in season 3, episode 4 of Narcos." Hashtag narco trafficking, hashtag cocaine, hashtag, because I'm letting people who are interested in that same thing, it's a part of my personality, watching like gang films or whatever it is. Like you, I know
Right.
you're particularly into music.
Yeah.
You follow a
Yeah.
lot of hip hop guys on Twitter.
That's true.
It
Yeah.
adds it adds to your
So,
personality. When I talk business with you, I see the hip hop,
right.
social trends, marketing.
That, I think that's what with the hashtags as well. We were talking about the hashtags, and um, I just want to hit on like you do hashtags associated with what it is that you're doing, but you can also do hashtags associated with what's popular at the time. Right. And I don't think a lot of people pick up on that as well, is that I don't know, whatever happened. Like there was a missile in Hawaii, the fake missile, false missile, whatever. Um, you could hashtag that stuff, everything that was associated with that, and you come up on the searches. And then if you're like we're talking about audio visual, if your visual is engaging enough, people are going to pay attention to that as opposed to the same post, because sometimes you look at those hashtags and it's really like the same post that people are reposting, and
Yeah.
if you have something that's different in there, it's going to actively engage them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's so many layers to it. I just increasingly, just like you don't wear club clothes. I'm still testing and finding out what my edges are. I did I think it was Snapchat, and there was some lady messaged me on Snapchat, and she said, "Did you take that photo from your toilet?" And I'm like, "Wait now, I was not on the commode. I was just sitting." you know. But the thing is, it's like, no, I do not take photos of myself on the commode and post them to social media. Finding your edge is where, people play with it. Michael felt comfortable showing me his child and like making a joking video about, oh no, I gotta like take care of my kid. I don't know how to do this, which was
So,
hysterical.
um, I just started playing with some of the apps to where you can record the video and add the effects and whatnot. Is there one that you would recommend to new people that
Okay,
are getting started?
so I get overloaded, even I do. And I'm using all this social media organically. I'm not using any apps yet. I've seen students in the Reboot Insiders Club do videos that I was like, ooh, man, I need to up my game. Like, they're getting
Yeah.
good. Like, because they're just adding a little, it's the same little video, Brenda Ovando specifically. Brenda made a quick video with a table and a mat. And she does mobile massage, and she shows you the setup process of her coming into your space, laying out the mat, putting down the sheet. It's just a quick time lapse, but it had information about, I can come to you and her rates or whatever it was. And the thing is, adding the visual appeal of that little bit of information, it was like, whoa, that's a good video. It was short, it was quick, it was a minute. Instagram, boom, ad, quick. It wasn't just like coming by, it was just providing information where you go, well, I don't know, did they bring a table? Like, what did they do? And just
Right.
introducing the fact that she did mat work, I decided for my business, I hired Knives. And I'm still working out that process of working with him as the videographer because his skill set is that. He's stacking his art of video production on top of my art. That works better for me, but it also just depends on the software and then how easy is it to use.
Right. And then it takes that overwhelming of I have to not only master massage, but I have to master the marketing component. I have to master the filming component, all of those things. It takes that away from it.
If I could tell massage therapists in school anything, I have that gangster, a street level hustle hip hop thing. You get three of your friends in massage school, the kids that you get along with, and you want to bust it. Like you want to make money when you get out of school and get your license. Is you get one of them to figure out video production and video editing. You get the other one to figure out hashtags, Instagram, social media production. And you get somebody else to figure out, like, I don't know, sort of like niche marketing, other skills, graphic design. But here's the thing,
Yeah.
each of you focuses on that and then you promote each other's stuff.
Right. That's huge. That would be
Because then you're
huge.
working together as a team to promote each other's stuff. Massage therapists act like there's competition. They act like if you have a full practice and I have a full practice, like we're competing with each other. And it just isn't
Totally.
that way. Yeah, just isn't that way.
Totally. Totally. Any questions from anyone?
What time is it, by the way?
It's 6:50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So wow, we got started at 5:30.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, we blew through an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah,
Right.
if you guys have questions, you can write down below. We're happy to answer anything. We were just chittering and chattering on.
Right. This was fun.
Yeah. And then after the fact, if for some reason you don't catch this live, if you have questions and just ask below, Megan or I will be happy to chat with you or answer. Megan, if they follow you, where do you want them to follow you? Social media.
Anything.
Anything.
And massage Megan on everything that you look for.
Massage
You just
Megan.
have to let,
Instagram, Twitter, not on Snapchat.
no, everything.
Everything. You have a YouTube channel?
Everything. Yes, I have a channel, but there's only one thing posted. If
Oh,
you'd
okay.
like to see a made up anatomy rap out of an anatomy class, it's
Yeah.
on there.
So mine, you can just go to robertgardnerwellness.com. There are usually links to all of my social media there. but it's pretty easy to find my stuff. I've got tons of content across platforms promoting. Yeah. And Donna, when I talk about LMT working together, it doesn't have to be 10 therapists. It's just finding one or two therapists in school, even if you're in school. Because the thing is, in school, you have more time to like dedicate to that and figuring out, oh, Instagram, hashtags, whoa, massage, following people, becoming more of an expert on that. And what you're doing is between those two or three therapists, you're educating each other on how to use it.
I find that continuing education courses in the area are also a good place to find people because people are generally more open in CEU classes with what it is that they're doing, and they're coming with a different mindset. So at that time, you can connect with them.
Networking. As an educator, one of the things I really need to be able to do is I need to boost my income enough so I can go take more CE classes. And it's not just to learn what's in the CE class, it's to network with other massage therapists.
Exactly. I think that's one of the biggest things with CEU classes, whether you're learning something. I've taken some horrible CEUs, and whether you're learning something or not, is connecting with those other therapists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cross promotion. It's like when I talked about, massage therapists in school, if you're a massage therapist and you know that part of your target market is the yoga community, go find the great yoga teacher in town that you love networking with, cross promote with them.
Yeah, totally. One of those things too, if you're reaching out, not everybody wants to. Not everybody wants to just like help. So something that I did in the past with a barber is I used to like pay for people to go get their hair cut. So funny. I look back and I'm like, and then I would tell them like, tell them Massage Megan sent you. But it was like a $12 haircut, and those the $36 that I spent for three people to go get their haircut, it came back like tons because
Yeah.
at that point, once they heard that you were inadvertently giving them money, they want to connect with you. They're like, they want to thank you. They want to show gratitude. And then at that point, you can engage in conversation about learning more about your target market or what have you.
Beauty shops, hairdressers, holy moly. I need to go find a hairdresser just so I can school them on social media and like make their social media explode because there's so much potential because they have an extremely visual practice.
Yeah.
People love looking at your hair and saying, oh, you got your hair done. It looks great. Where did you get it done?
Exactly.
Video. Like sitting in the chair telling jokes.
Yeah.
It's all about your story. Facebook Live, Facebook Stories, Instagram Stories, Twitter Live, Snapchat, all the platforms, stories, video, stories, video. What's your story? What's the story you're telling potential clients? What's the story?
Right.
What's going on here? We're following Megan, but what's the story?
Right, exactly.
Cool. So listen, I think we'll go ahead and finish up. I got a party cranking on the other side of the doors here. My wife is having. So we can talk again soon. And if you think of some other specific topics that you want to go over, I'd love to do these again.
Awesome. Sounds
It's
good.
really nice for me to talk about social media with someone who knows it a little bit more in depth. It's a little bit less likely in our industry. So I think it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Totally. Absolutely.
Cool.
All right. Thanks,
So,
Robert.
you're welcome. I can chat with you whenever I close this down, just if you have any questions. And again, you guys follow Megan. If you have any questions, comments, you can go ahead and write down below and we'll answer those later. But thank you so much for meeting with me today, Megan. It was great to talk with you.
No problem. Thank you.
Cool. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Soon.